Patch 1.5 is on its way and it brings a ton of changes, guys. I honestly cannot wait for this. Various improvements to the game, numerous quest and gameplay fixes, as well as a number of free DLCs, which is essentially add-ons. Not really DLCs in my opinion. On top of that, it contains next-gen updates. All right, guys, this is what you've been waiting for, and it seems like it delivers without actually playing it myself. It takes advantage of the Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5 hardware. So let's have a quick look at this picture here. And we get on the PS5, the Xbox Series S and X, PS4, Xbox One, and PC, new weapons. We get additional apartments for all, a hairdressing mirror, rebalance of gameplay, economy, and loot systems for all of them, ray tracing local shadows just for the next gen. We have various visual quality improvements for the next gen plus Xbox Series S. We have the spatial headphone audio for the PS5, which was previously added for the Xbox One, PC, S and X. Improved crowd reactions just for the next gen, and dual sense controller features just for PS5, and I'll go through that very soon. So let's continue. All right. Added ray traced local light shadows, implemented native achievement support on next gen consoles. That definitely is needed as well for those who are achievement hunters. I know I am. Introduced 2 graphics modes on PS5 and Xbox Series S, and those are performance mode and ray tracing mode. The performance mode is for about smooth gameplay at 60 frames per second with dynamic 4K scaling, but the ray tracing mode, the other mode, provides that photorealistic shadow. It does look really damn good on PC, so I'm assuming on next gen consoles it's going to look just as good. But it does run on that 30 frames per second. So if you are a frames kind of person, stick to that performance mode. Now, Xbox Series S has no graphics mode solution, and by default is only 30 frames per second. So just keep that in mind. And there's a bunch of other mode notes there that we can go through later, but one of the main things is for PS5 controllers, there is haptic feedback support. Now that is insane. For those who have actually played PS5 games with haptic feedback, it's just next level. I know that it just adds such a dimension to the game that I want to actually, I played natively on PC, but I'm feeling like just jumping on PS5 and playing this all again, because that's going to just change things for me completely. I can't wait to give that a shot myself. I know I'll be getting my hands on this patch soon, so I'll keep you guys in the loop, but this is probably the biggest change for me. Just having this feature on PS5 is amazing. I know all those who are listening and don't have a PS5, I'm sorry, but this will be amazing. It also has the built-in speakers on the PS5 controllers, and that works for the holo calls and the text messages and everything that happens in V's head, so that's just going to immerse you so much more into the game. All right, additional content. Now, this is for everyone else. Apartments. You can buy apartments. Well, rented apartments, but really it's just a one-time fee. So you start off with your mega building H10 apartment, and you're able to purchase apartments at Northside Watson, Japantown Westbrook, the Glen in Haywood, and the Corpo Plaza City Center, which is 55,000 eddies. So I'm guessing that's going to be the best one, but they all seem to provide some kind of perk or benefit. There is a refreshed state that helps you with regeneration. There is a rested state that gives you more skill experience. I'm not going to speculate on which apartment does what or if they all do that, but I know that going to sleep actually does provide that rested state. I'm not sure if all of them give you that brewed coffee energized state, but they all seem like pretty powerful buffs. So having an apartment is definitely going to be something that adds to that role-playing element, and also provides you somewhere to go and relax and get some of these buffs. Then we have added appearance customization. You can now tweak certain features of your appearance, such as hair, makeup, and piercings when using the mirror in any of your apartments and safe houses. It's free, you can do it as often as you like. Now, what's new at Wilson's? Wilson's being the gun shop that you get at the Mega H10 building right at the start. If you exit the building, follow the path around to the elevator down, is just on the right. and he adds 2 new weapons, the Dara Polytechnic Umbra, which is a power assault rifle, and the Budget Arms Guillotine, which is a power submachine gun. It sounds like it'd be a melee weapon, but pretty cool. I'm not going to speculate on these either, just because we don't know how they perform or why they were added to the game, but I'm guessing this adds another element, so we can expect them to do something unique, or we can hope that they do something unique. There's 4 new weapon scopes, and we can't really speculate on these either, but they're going to add a new look to the weapon attachments that you can put on your weapons and apply a new bonus. And then there is a new type of weapon attachment, the muzzle brakes. So this might reduce velocity and in turn make you more stealthy, but who knows? And there's 10 new brakes, 5 for handguns and 5 for assault rifle and some machine guns. None for shotguns. I don't know why you'd want a muzzle brake on a shotgun, but there we have it. So we have a little bit of an improvement to gameplay. Maybe you want to start it back up and try out the assault rifles, for example, if you went full pistol. I know I went full pistol my first playthrough. Then we have new poses in photo mode, specifically for Johnny Silverhand as well, or Johnny Silverhand as well. Then we have the combat AI improvements. So we have multiple fixes and improvements to NPC melee and ranged combat AI and reactions, including taking cover, positioning and reloading, and equipping weapons, dodging, blocking, and many others. So we can expect AI to be more clever. Before, they just kind of charged at you, or some would flank, but most would just shoot behind cover at you. So I'm hoping this does improve the overall combat. And this is probably the biggest change to combat, as the difficulty of the enemies definitely makes you feel more immersed in the game. Multiple improvements to dismemberment. Yet again, it's going to improve immersion, essentially. Enemies are now better at blocking and evading, specifically the Kreznikov attacks. The heavier the weapon, the easier it is to hit. The opposite is true for evading. So I'm assuming they're going to use the Kreznikov to dodge and weave in and out more often, which makes them harder and makes the game better. Further diversification of melee and ranged combat behaviors for different factions. Reckless, aggressive, balanced, defensive, and cautious based on different factions. So perhaps, the animals, for example, might be quite aggressive and reckless since they want to charge at you and get in melee range. But we shall see exactly how that plans out into how the different factions fight. And I'm really excited to see this, because there really wasn't a distinction between them besides their underlying stats. Followers now contribute more in combat. Now this is huge as well, because they used to just kind of do nothing, really. I don't even remember them actually doing much damage. It was very minuscule, like a quarter of what you did. But now they can be defeated and temporarily disabled if they receive enough punishment. So that adds another layer. You got to keep them safe. But that also means that bad AI is going to screw you. So hopefully the AI is a lot better. Numerous fixes to balance and changes to net runner combat. So net runner combat was pretty decent as it was, so it'd be good to see how that exactly changes things. Now, crowd improvements. I'm not sure if this is going to bring it up to the first teaser trailer that we saw with the massive amounts of crowds. I don't think it will, but at least NPCs will enter combat with a player when provoked by aiming, shooting, or fighting. So that means they're not all going to cower in fear, which is amazing, because it was really immersion breaking. It really was. But keep in mind, this is not available for previous gen consoles. I'm sorry, previous gen console users, you're just going to have to accept that you're going to have to upgrade eventually. Sorry. Time skips affect the state of NPCs, as well as reset the state of devices. This is just some housekeeping stuff. Then we have drive models, introducing our all new burnout mode. Hold gas and brake to engage, steer to rotate. The old system only allowed rotating on the spot, if you remember. Now, try modulating the inputs to see what they can do. Try brake stands, donuts, drifts, and heat up the tires to do a drag race style launch with a high grip boost. Now, this will make certain cars really, really good. The system now works at higher speeds, so you can hit the brake with gas applied on corner entry to cause oversteer on most cars. Keyboard users, who always get screwed, can use an optional new secondary binding on arrow keys. I just personally use a controller when I'm driving and the keyboard for everything else. Alright, new braking system. That's good. New engine simulation improved. Clutch simulation added. Gearbox simulation improved. Motorcycles improved. Another thing, why would you ever drive a motorcycle in this game except for the pie points? Because realistically, they just didn't work. And if you got hit, you took a lot of damage. So yeah, hopefully they're a lot better now. Tuned improvements to various cars, including the Quadra Type 66, the Xion, the Outlaw, the Mai, all improved. Adjustments to first-person perspectives as well. Traffic for vehicles have improved as well. Once again, traffic was absolutely terrible. You would turn one way, then turn the other, and cars would despawn and respawn. So hopefully that's all been improved. And they also react better to being slammed into. Fender benders, vehicles now have a wider range of reactions. That's another thing. Panic to danger as well. That's another thing I just didn't understand how NPCs reacted. So now with new NPC reactions and new driver reactions, it's going to be a lot better. In terms of gameplay and balance, various changes to the economy, including increased rewards from jobs. That was certainly needed, and decreased prices for vehicles and cyberware. That was needed because you would realistically only get one gun and one really good cyberware, or maybe one car, and you'd really be out of cash. I know I spent absolute hours farming eddies, so this will definitely improve that. Rebalance and improve functionality on clothing mods, so they all get unapplied if you jump back into your save file now. Easy is no longer as easy, which is good because there was 0 point playing easy. It was just way too easy. It was just like playing a slideshow. Introduced 2 new stats replacing evasion. There's mitigation chance and mitigation strength. So mitigation chance determines how often the player has a chance to reduce incoming damage, and mitigation strength determines the percentage at which damage is reduced. So I'm not sure why exactly they changed evasion like that. Maybe evasion was too powerful, but now evasion essentially works as if you do tick the evasion, you still take damage, and the amount you take is offset by this mitigation strength stat. So you don't dodge all damage, which means that I'm guessing dodge was way too powerful in their opinion. Components that used to increase evasion now affect mitigation. Rebalanced damage over time effects, generally reducing primary damage effects such as burning, bleeding, and poison. Reduced chance to disrupt trajectory of smart bullets by target claws, blowing tattoos ability. Yeah, that was a bit of a pain. I'm gonna admit I didn't really like the smart bullets, the smart guns in general. A lot of power weapons, which is generally better. Added a quieter way to escape the NCPD when the heat is on instead of fleeing a certain distance. V can also opt to hide. This is taking it back to GTA 3, or even 2 or 1, really, where you could just hide from them, but you couldn't in this. So, welcome to 1990s, really. It's, Cyberpunk, you're almost there, buddy. All right, it's now possible to sell unused cyberware at a Ripper dock. Cooldown duration is now properly described in the tooltip, made it possible to interrupt revealing position hacks. Activate Berserk will now double stamina instead of granting infinite amounts. Tranquilizer rounds in the projectile launch system no longer affect non-human NPCs. Reduce the ricochet number of legendary ballistic compressors to 1, but grants a 50% bonus to ricochet damage. These tranquilizer rounds, actually, let's circle back to that. It was way too strong. There was a way to just almost instantly kill or incapacitate NPCs with tranquilizer rounds, so I'm hoping that they fix that because that was way too powerful. Trajectory generator in the Kuroshi Optics mod has been changed to threat analysis and now grants mitigation chances. Okay, increased duration of optical camo, increased the optical camo. Even with optical camo active, a player will now be visible while grappling an enemy. Fixed an issue where it wasn't possible to equip some cyberware mods simultaneously. All right, all basic stuff there. It's just making it a little bit better. All right, combat. Numerous optimizations to combat AI, resulting in an overall improvement to combat experience. Numerous optimizations to combat AI. I really need to see that to believe it, but I'm hoping this is true. This is like the NPC change we just read before. Or maybe I misread that because this is saying essentially the same thing. I'm hoping the experience is improved. Numerous fixes and improvements were made to reduce interruptions and smoothen NPC animations in combat. Fantastic. You can expect a more consistent feel of impact and crowd control. Amazing. I love impact. Enemies will now correctly reposition to more tactically advantageous positions. So yes, that is confirmed. They will start flanking properly, not half-assed doing it like they used to, or just sitting behind cover and waiting for you to Krasnikov around the corner and shoot him in the face. Increased followers shooting accuracy. Oh, thank God. Reduced explosion damage to player. That's good, because sometimes you just instantly die and have no idea why. That's because an NPC will shoot a barrel next to you, which will explode and kill you instantly, even if you've just max spec'd into health. Fixed cases where NPCs from the same group or faction didn't join combat when they witnessed their comrades fighting. Wow. Not only does that make stealth harder, which is a good thing, that puts it up to a point where it doesn't seem completely ridiculous to fight certain NPCs. So I'm happy for that. Fix an issue where NPCs display a proper hit reaction. Good. Enemy shotgunners will now attempt to keep a closer distance. Excellent. Add some visual effects to the combat stims so you know the enemies have them on. That's a good thing. Enemies equipped with combat stims will use them only when their health is below 30%, reducing overall usage. Well, now we know that they're using them, so this will, make combat seem more dynamic instead of just being like, oh, I'm fighting a guy, shot him, he's dead. Increase visual complexity of an enemy combat behavior. Perfect. Fix an issue with combat mode triggering while roaming. Fix an issue where the player could be knocked down by a hammer attack despite their hammer not reaching them. I thought it was just a shockwave thing, but sure. Significantly sped up switching between melee and ranged weapons for NPCs that can use both. That's good, because they were just too easy to cheese. Completely easy to cheese. You just dance in that switch range and they just keep switching back and forth between them. It's no longer possible to apply the Cyber Psychosis quick hack on Cyber Psychos. Wow, I didn't even think of that, but that's a good change. Fix an issue where deactivating the camera with a quick hack would interrupt enemy quick hacks. Alright. It's now possible to turn devices on and off while carrying a body. Good. Fix an issue where the elevator door animations didn't sometimes display properly. Good. Alright, bonus items found in Stash, the 2 DLC jackets and the 4 registration reward items have a new functionality. From now on, these items will increase in their rarity after performing a certain amount of upgrades. Good, because I threw them out almost instantly. Added base crafting specs for each item at rare quality. The player's list of available crafting specs. Existing saves will probably be updated to accommodate change. Alright, so they're just useful for more of the game, but still they're only rare quality. I don't think you'll use them for that long, even then. Alright, NPCs lowered the health of opponents in Beat on the Brat. Yes, except for the twins. They can. The twins weren't that difficult actually. They can now block and evade attacks, so the difficulty is more based on skill. Yeah, that's fine. But oh my god, this quest line, especially the last few bosses on this quest line, it was just tedious. They would one-hit kill you, and you would have to just punch and punch and punch for like half an hour before you kill them. And even if you spec completely into melee with gorilla arms and all the upgrades, it still would take forever. So I'm glad that they did this, because it was just obnoxious. All right, Woodman now prefers using the same Ajax rifle that he drops as loot. Yeah, that always surprised me actually. He was never that much of a problem in combat, but there we go. He was now demoted from a boss to a standard enemy. Yeah, that needed to happen. All right, fix an NPC behavior during Sasquatch, Oda, Adam Smasher, Royce, and Beat on the Brat boss fights. Good. I know that Sasquatch definitely needed that. That was a weird fight. Fix an issue where enemy NPCs couldn't break V's guard in melee fights. But we needed that guard to be broken because it was ridiculous in those melee fights. So hopefully these fights are a lot easier, so breaking guards isn't going to be that much of an issue. Fix clipping in V's and NPCs aerial takedowns. Spin and kick melee attacks are now allowed only on fast, agile enemy archetypes. That makes sense. You don't want to see that in a giant animal. Animal being the particular gang where they're all roided up, massive guys. All right, cold blood experience will no longer be awarded when dispatching enemies while having no cold blood effect active. That always drove me crazy. I'm like, why am I getting cold blood experience? Which is why in a lot of my guides, I recommended just putting a few points into Cold Blood just for the fact that you just get experience for no reason. All right, fix clipping and grappling enemies in the crouched position. Enemy shotguns deal more damage. That's terrifying. Okay. This game is definitely getting a lot harder, guys, because shotgun has 2-shot, a basic V with an agility build. So yeah, they're gonna probably one-shot you now. Enemies are less likely to attack V while V is performing a finisher. Okay. Increased damage dealt by sniper NPCs. Why? They were already a pain. Snipers will now be able to shoot when backing away from their target. Okay. Everything's just being balanced to make it more difficult. Tipping bodies over for V's companions. Rebalanced NPC Stamina. NPCs crushed by vehicles that are unable to recover will die after a fixed time. That will, yeah, because there's a few bugs that come from that. Fix V's death animation. Fix an issue with security, bouncers and police having a bounty on them. Fix some issues of NPCs T-posing. I can't believe they put that down here. This is a huge one. This is bigger than all of them. NPCs randomly being in a T-pose just was so immersion breaking in some, especially on last gen consoles. Wow. All right, fix an issue with NPCs with the ability to apply status effects when able to do so. All right, that's terrifying as well. Added a 15% health debuff for enemies that have the Kolesnikov ability to compensate for more dodging. So you might remember, if you played enough of Cyberpunk, that some enemies, when you shot them from a distance, they would just phase. And it would mean they dodged. And it especially applied to when you use a throwing weapon, like a knife, for example, they would phase almost all the time. And that was a pain when I was doing my knife-only run, which I highly recommend you guys watch. My knife-only run was hilarious because knives were broken back then. They've fixed them now, and I'll go through that soon. But you would have to throw a knife and it would be gone forever. So you'd have to craft a ton of knives just to be able to throw. Anyway, I'll talk about that soon. Perks, rebalanced. Tons of changes. The following perks have been changed. I recommend jumping into the game when this patch is out and having a look at yourself. You're going to have to reassign perks if you've used the system at all. So if you've got a save file, and you'll be able to do so for free. So there are new perks. Stronger Together. Increases damage you deal while carrying a body has been changed to getting hit does not interrupt health regen, because why does it matter when you're carrying a body if you do more health? That never happened. Not as bad as the one for doing more damage when you're underwater, but still pretty bad. Increased max stacks amount for Cold Blood by 1, which was terrible. While Cold Blood is active, increases range weapon damage by 10% or 20% to enemies within 5 meters of V. That's actually really good now. Easy out is really good. Commando, yeah, this is the one. You cannot be detected while underwater. That's what it was. I never got it. I never got it ever, because when were you ever underwater? Change to looking sharp. Headshots with throwing knives apply blind to the target. That's amazing. I want to do another throwing knife run. Silent finisher. Enemies with less than 15% health are defeated instantly when you attack with a knife. Change to juggler. When you defeat an enemy or land a critical hit with a thrown knife, you regain all knives currently on cooldown. Now, cooldown, I'll have to talk about soon, but knives now have a cooldown instead of having amounts that you need to craft to keep that up. So that's amazing. It's actually, throwing knives is actually a legit strategy now. So you can regenerate them if you land a critical hit or defeat an enemy. Amazing. Lightning Bolt, which used to increase crit chance with tech weapons, is now changed to draw the line. So you can preview bullets' ricochet trajectory when aiming with power weapons if the ballistic compressor cyberware is installed. Perfect. So gives you another option. Due to the above mentioned changes in perks, we renamed the stealth tree to the ninjutsu tree in order to reflect the perks it contains. Definitely trying that out. Made the bonuses dynamic for 200% efficiency, field technician, and cutting edge. They are now applied to the already crafted weapons and clothes. Respecting perks removes the bonuses correctly. Okay, easy. Player mechanics. V is now able to vault, climb, sprint, and jump through glass that has been fractured. Oh my god, this is amazing. I know in one mission, I believe it was one of Pan Am's mission, if you broke the glass and then tried to vault through it, it would catapult you like 200 meters behind the glass every time almost. So yeah, this is definitely a fix needed. Fixes another issue where disposing a body into a crate could move V into walls or out of bounds. Whatever. Fix an issue where some vehicles could spawn within each other, resulting in shattering to pieces or being launched into the air, whatever. Fix an issue with hijacking cars, whatever. Fix an issue where vehicles could be frozen, whatever. All right, here it is. Reworked throwing knives. Knives are no longer lost after each throw, but automatically return to V's hand after a set cooldown time, depending on the knife rarity. It's also possible to pick up throwing knives to reset the cooldown. Now, this is exactly what I wanted. Guys, I highly recommend watching my video where I essentially play through the entire game on the highest difficulty setting using only throwing knives. I can only kill enemies with throwing knives, guys. It is insane. It took so much effort because every single knife that you threw would disappear forever. And now knives will come back to you within a set cooldown, or that cooldown will be reset if you pick them up. So you can throw it at someone, it would kill them, knife would almost instantly kill them from a headshot, pick it off out of their head, and you can throw it again. If it doesn't kill them and it stays lodged in their body, you can use one of your other throwing knives and throw it and kill them, and then walk away, and then those two knives will eventually respawn back in your inventory. So knives are a lot better now. It's actually worth getting them. So the way they work is you've got a knife in your hand, you stab, 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 but if you hold right click or whatever button it is on controller and then fire, you'll throw it. The Stinger iconic knife now scales properly to V's level. Spit up smart gun projectiles on different weapons. Yes, thank you, because they were so damn slow. You need the impact and speed because they were smart projectiles and you could see each individual bullet firing off its little rocket behind it and shooting into them, and they made them slower so you could see that effect, but it just didn't have the impact. It didn't feel good. So hopefully that feels better now. Increased silence gunshot sound range from 3 meters to 8 meters. I don't know why they did that. Stealth was already kind of broken. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see how it works. Stamina cost reduction while attacking stat on melee weapons now works correctly. Okay, good. Crunch, Cold Shoulder, and Pax weapons mods will increase weapon damage by % value. Good. The level requirement of melee weapons now increases each upgrade. Good. Okay. The level requirement of melee weapons will now increase with each upgrade. Okay, so if you upgrade it to a certain amount, it's going to increase the level you need to be to equip it, which means you can't just equip broken melee weapons, which makes sense. Okay, the NR5 Nova stats have been properly balanced. The Crusher is no longer a viable weapon to use during the shooting competition. Why not? Added aim assist to the bottles. Okay, good. Various UI changes, resizing icons, redesign the time skip interface. That's actually really good because switching between the different parts of the day will show the predicted time. Yeah, that's going to be a lot easier because it was just not that good before. Update various graphics for various scopes, improve readability. That's going to help a lot of people. Add a new notification when a new song starts. That's really good. That's something that from GTA 3 onwards. No, even in GTA 1 and 2, I keep thinking it's only the 3Ds, but even the earlier GTAs, they showed you what song was playing and they'd switch to it. Maybe I'm wrong in 1 and 2, but definitely in 3, right? Feature that was back then in those, it wasn't in this, so I'm glad that at least you can see the songs. Added the crosshair for knife throwing. Another reason why you should definitely watch my playthrough. I will probably just link it below, because you have to kind of guess where the knife's going to go, but now there's a crosshair for it, so awesome. Added a buff stat counter to the health bar. Perfect. That's really good. It'll be good to see how many buffs you've got and how they stack. Improved D-pad navigation. Perfect. I fought the law. Improved interface. Great. Improved an issue with the mouse cursor. Blah, 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 blah. Fixes, 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 fixes. All right. Lots of quests have been changed and upgraded, but here's one. Added a few secrets in Night City to be discovered by players. So this is going to be something that would encourage me and many others to actually explore the city again, because there's going to be little secrets here and there. Hopefully they're worth it. I'm guessing there is going to be a secret out there about the terrible shoddy launch. I guarantee it. Due to some technical challenges, this change is not available on previous gen consoles. I'm sorry, yet again, you're going to have to eventually upgrade. I know some of you don't have the money to do so, but I mean, that's progress, right? So you can't use cars from the 1920s now without going nuts and refurbishing and getting new new engines and everything. So it's like this. I know it hasn't been that long and there was promise to work for old gen consoles, but I'm just going to have to admit that the game is broken, and to continue to service it, they're going to have to just focus on next gen. Extended romances with Panam, Carey, River, and Judy by adding new messages and interactions. This is sorely needed, my god. This will add another dimension to it. The romances, especially for Panam, were really good, but I know that Carey, River, and Judy were so. It's good that they're going to talk to you more, especially through messages and interactions, and this is going to add another dimension to the game. So, new interactions in the homes of love interests, including sleeping in bed with a given partner. So guys, we're going to be able to get down and dirty whenever we want, when you reach a certain stage with a partner. And this is another thing that I think we were promised and it was never delivered. So cool. All you perverts out there, me included, are going to love this feature. Players are now able to reject non-essential holocalls, great. Improve the system overall. Enhance Night City nightlife by making music in clubs a bit louder. It was always alright, but most of the time in Night City's nightclubs you're fighting people, and then you got that epic gang music depending on which gang you're fighting, so not sure how that's going to pay off, but we'll see. Fix an issue where River would instantly hang up on you. I never really experienced that. Lots of changes to all of these missions. That's something you could go through yourself. Alright. V now has standing with fixes throughout Night City. Okay? I'm not sure exactly how this is going to play out, but the better you do, the more fixer-specific missions you do, the better you'll be in terms of reputation with that specific fixer, and the more rep you get from that fixer, or with that fixer, sorry, the better missions you'll get. Okay? As your standing increases, blah, 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 you get a set of gigs after the previous set is completed in a given district. Completing all the gigs will earn you a special reward, excluding Mr. Hands. Yeah, Mr. Hands doesn't really like you or anyone, really. He just chooses not to interact. So to see the progress of standing with a fixer, you hover over the icon in the map and check completed gigs. So this adds a whole other dimension to it, which is amazing. Crowds and communities of Night City are now more diverse. Perfect. You hate seeing the same guy with no shoes walking over and over again. All right. Issues. More tissues, more issues. All right. So lots of issue fixes. Graphics, improved water appearance, which would probably bring it up to the 2000s standards, because water was just terrible in Night City. All right. Visual rain effects on vehicle windows. Rain was actually pretty good in Cyberpunk when you compare it to the GTA Vice City remake, for example. Wow. Water in that was terrible. All right. Add neon rims for bikes. Actually, this might give me a reason to use bikes. You can turn them on and off with the E key or pressing the left stick on the gamepad. All right. Improve visuals of the optical camo cyberware. Little tidbit here. If Johnny had his cyberware in 2023, he could have just quietly dropped them in nuke. Could have. Fix an issue where various subtitles with Johnny's lines could get stuck. That happened to me once. All right. Improved weather system. More logical order. Drastically reduced the amount of loot lying around as part of an effort to allow players more breathing room. That's good, because that would clog the UI, actually. That probably should be up here in the UI section. PC specific, you can do a benchmark mode, which is amazing, because I'm definitely going to use that to show you guys some videos and how things perform. Added a toggle walking option. Perfect. That will be great for recording. Transparent ray trace reflections on glossy coating of some cars enabled. Perfect. VRS enabled. Great. Fix an issue which blocking resolution scanning on AMD graphics cards when ray tracing was enabled. Didn't apply to me. All right. Discontinue support for NVIDIA 700 series. Okay, I don't know why. Game won't necessarily stop functioning. Whatever. Sorry guys if that's you. Windows 7 no longer supported. Sorry. Console specific. We've got some little things here. Transferring saves from PS4 to PS5 is a lot easier. Instructions can be found on their website. Fix an issue with V's mouth, and increase field of view to match other platforms with Strata, if anyone actually uses Strata. So those are all the changes, guys. There's an absolute ton, a lot of things to bring you back into the game. What do you think? Tell me below. What is this going to get you back into the game? Are you going to play specifically on next-gen consoles? Are you going to play on PC again? Let me know below. I'm super interested to know. And this might have come late, but it is a step in the right direction. It's not the DLC we'll promise this year, but it is a step in the right direction. I'm hoping that by the end of the year, we know that a third of their staff is working on DLCs, a large portion of it. So I'm hoping by the end of the year, we do have actual DLCs, not this free DLC they talk about where it's just 3 guns and apartments and more sex scenes, but real meaty missions, new content, new parts of the city, maybe up in the space station, who knows? But let's hope for more, guys, because this is a step in the right direction. They're still servicing the game, so maybe we get what we were promised. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this content, leave a like below. I'm so sorry that I'm recording everything offline because I'm currently in the middle of a move and I have no internet. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Ciao, friends.